Happy Monday, everybody! Well, as happy as it's going to be. I was going to call this video something like corny Monday Menace or Monday Mayhem or some shit like that. Uh, uh, in light of the recent videos and topics of discussion in this video, I thought that name would be a little inappropriate. So, the Decoded Era. What does that mean? Well, Tulsi Gabbard literally came out with a video so scathing and so illuminating. It just itched everybody's like scratch that like, you know what? I know that you're lying to me, but I can't prove it. So, and you're gonna charge me for, I don't know, some sort of like obstruction of justice or like inciting of a fucking riot because you're going against the science. You can't go against the science and stuff. So Tulsi Gabbard is pointing out that there's tons of biolabs, biological labs, gain of function labs, the same labs that everybody was writing off, like the one in Wuhan. It's funny how Dr. Fauci got a pardon, right? And he's most likely like very much embedded and linked to all of this. So I want to see where she's going with this, and I know it's going to be really good. I know it's going to be really good. Like I think Tulsi Gabbard is like one of those girls, sorry, women that is a really good candidate for president because she, you know, rose to fame in the Democratic Party, and she literally pointed out the hypocrisy of Kamala Harris, like literally to her face. And the best that her party could do is like literally like get rid of her. So she joined the Republican Army, and guess what? She became the Democrats' worst nightmare. If this like news topic, if this like info comes out and it basically proves everybody right, like can you imagine trusting the science, staying indoors, washing your hands, disinfectant, you know, you must social distance 6 feet away, all that shit, and then like literally like what was it? Joe Biden took like what was it 6, 7 vaccines? He's like speaking all the time. He gets sick. So it's like, what the fuck was the point of the vaccine then? You fucking idiots! The code has been decoded, right? But that's not all. Yo, the man, the myth, the legend, the SpongeBob. You know, he's getting under the skin of Hassan Piker. So much so that I think that this is the end of his career, like for real. I only see him like doing it as for fun now. Like nobody gives a shit about his political commentary. Nobody gives a shit about like his guest appearances other than his like Muslim Brotherhood and like basically all the people that Al Jazeera was like employing on the side and shit. And like, you know, they know each other buddy buddy on the side, like him and Mamdani and all these other fucking terrorists, four terrorists, you know, motherfuckers and shit. Palestine is like crying like, yo, look at all these like abused and like, you know, injured children and this and that. It's like, yeah, stop using human shields, dude. Like, yo, I'm sick and tired of saying the same thing over and over again. Like, you want sympathy, and yet you deserve nothing. You deserve no sympathy. So where are you coming with this shit, you know, and calling Jews like, you know, genociders and all that shit? It's you know, the code has been decoded, right? Ah, my goodness. I'm back with the power and magic of video editing. Then go to the bathroom and whatever, all that shit. Anyways, so what else? In like light news, Nick Fuentes has finally joined side with the Jewish people because it's just like, you know, he realizes that going against them and siding with the Muslims basically is just a lost cause because, you know, it's one thing to like, you know, take your money and then like, you know, there's certain incidents with like, you know, soldiers and, you know, people getting killed by the Israeli army supposedly. Like I don't want to like entertain these conspiracy theories because we all know why October 7th happened, right? Like I don't have to like sound like a broken record saying it, but it's very much the topic of this video. It's the decoded reason, right? Because Jake Monroe, right? British streamer, YouTuber. He was going over the incident involving these two traffic cops. I mean, sorry, parking ticket cops, right? So if you don't pay your parking meter, they come in and they write you a ticket, basically. And they're having an argument with this guy, and you'd think like it's nothing of it until like you make the casual observation of just how this plays out, right? And this is just a theory of mine, but I think I know how it played out with Henry Nowak and Vikram Digwa. Because if we can use this as an example, we can very much see how like one thing leads to the other, right? So the difference between these two incidents is one is in broad daylight and the other one is like what 1 a.m. at night, so midnight basically. Yeah, so obviously it's way more dangerous at night, and you know people are more aggressive, more willing, capable. There's no oversight. There's barely any supervision, police, etc. Right? So like you feel more emboldened. Like these parking ticket officers were well of Pakistani descent, right? And on top of that, they were upset that the guy didn't want to pay the ticket or whatever, and then they're just like, "Yo, you're pinching my pockets," and he wants to go over to some like corner and shit and talk to him, and he wants to turn off his like body camera and shit, and it's like, hmm, this seems awfully familiar, right? Like Henry Nowak had his phone snatched from him the second he started pulling it out and filming this guy. And much like that incident, these two Pakistani guys are getting super violent and stuff and like trying to like, get confrontational with this guy and trying to like, beat him up basically. Right? Even though they know they're getting filmed. And I think like the idea of them getting filmed, like the fact that he's pulling out the camera phone or whatever to film them and then they're visibly getting agitated from that is the tell that this is their bloodline. This is how they operate. This is what they're like. It's like you have a bunch of ugly people, and I was going over in my head, like how bad this would look to other people, just like specifically for the parking meter cops and shit. Like, if you were a girl and you saw this guy getting super aggressive with this other guy who doesn't want to pay your parking meter, like, I'd say 95, 99% of women would write that guy off because it's like, yo, it's just abuse material. It's like, this guy's, domestic violence waiting to happen, a divorce, waiting to happen. But he doesn't see it that way because he doesn't give a shit, right? Like when you have cultures that have arranged marriages, that have in-group preferences, that have inbreeding, consanguineal marriages arranged that way too. Like you have an entire population that maybe tried at love at a younger age and then failed miserably, and then as they get older, and I know I've said this before with like other incidents and stuff, right? Like I actually want to point out the Carmelo Anthony versus the other guy like thing, and you kind of see the difference between the two people, right? And it isn't just like the height difference; it's also the face, right? Like Carmelo Anthony, he's a very ugly looking dude. He just is, right? And oftentimes when you have people like that who are ugly, short, whatever, right? They'll get weapons, they'll act tough, and it's like their reputation, their honor, if you will, as Asmongold puts it, is everything that they got. Like it's their old world way of thinking, their antiquated way of living. And you actually see this, right, play out right before everyone's eyes, right? So I point out the Henry Nowak like incident because there's this video, and there's a bunch of videos actually, but like the most recent one, like these Calistanis, and they're like I think they're in BC or Alberta or something like that, and they're doing this like little parade and shit, right? And they do the most dumbest, most like incriminating thing, at least when it comes to like your image, right? Like it's not, it doesn't make you look good. They have these mock images, right, of the former prime minister or president of India, the lady that all these Sikhs hate and shit, and then all these other Indians that they hate, and they're like they get these kids with like these, I don't know if it's real knives or toy knives, and they just start stabbing these like like pretend things, and then it makes me realize something. I said that the Sikhs and the Muslims had a shared bloodline, right? Now, imagine like how many Sikhs and Palestinians, like people born in Palestine and people born in Punjab, are like good friends and shit, right? Like they know each other, they hang out with each other, like whatever. They help train the youths or whatever, right? So what I'm getting at is like, I made a comment about this like in one of my first videos talking about the whole October 7th bullshit, right? The Hamas, they train their kids to like do the exact same thing. They have these like little dolls or toys and stuff, and they get the kids to stab them and shit. It's like what the fuck? Two separate cultures, two separate religions, like miles apart, like an ocean apart, basically. And they're doing the exact same thing with their kids too. And like, think about it from like the Caucasian, the white man perspective. They see shit like this, right? And they think about Henry Nowak, and they're like, "Oh shit!" So they train their kids. They teach their kids at like a young ass age to go out and like stab people and shit. Yo, what the fuck, man? This ain't some normal ass shit. This is some fucking dysfunctional ass retard shit. You know? And like, I did not want to bring this up, but you have to be thorough with your news reporting here on Azure News. I am as thorough as fucking thorough. Fucking hell, man! Thorough, thorough, thorough. I do the job good. Okay, I do the job good. So good, in fact, I even went online to search for the names. So we got Sukhpreet Singh and Ramandeep Kaur. The guy's actually 23 and the wife is 26. And what did they do? Well, they had a baby, but the wife was like suffering from some kind of like health complication or something. So they like threw the baby away and like tried to like dismember it, like basically try to get rid of it. Like their brand, like just brand new born baby, and just post birth abort their baby. And as I was looking this up to like get the names, I actually found out like this is a very common practice with the Sikhs. They don't give a fuck. They have babies and they just like get rid of it for some unknown reason. Like I said, like the human camouflage, the code is all cracking. It's all fading away. All these illusions, these deceptions, deceiving you to believe in what you shouldn't believe, right? Because people are getting hurt. People are getting hurt every day. And now we got to talk about. And I didn't want to talk about this. I really didn't want to talk about this, but we have to talk about it because it's one of those things where it just happened. And yeah. So I commented about the cops cracking the whip on their people to maintain, control, governmental order, whatever, right? Um, not only did they take a guy and smash his head into like the pavement and stuff as they're arresting him, they had this other guy, and as they have him like two cops pinning him down on the ground and stuff, you see like on camera too, this one cop's like clearly just punching him in the head. He's restrained. His hands are behind his back. He's in handcuffs and stuff. His leg is being like held down by this like one guy and shit. And it's like, yeah, he's just getting punched in the head. And you think that's all? Like, there's other, videos of other people getting kicked in the stomach, in the ribs by cops when they're on the ground and stuff. And the other cop has like, I'm telling you, man, the UK is one of those things where, yeah, it needs a civil war. It needs to get rid of these fucking cops. It needs to get rid of these fuckers, like, hardcore. And, like, Get these fuckers out of Britain. Get them out of like the country. Get them all out of the country. Throw them overboard. Have them face the wall. Whatever it takes, because they caused all of this shit. All the rapes, all the fucking sexual violence against women, all like the murders against men was complicit and duplicitously done by the police. They had their hands involved in this. And the fact that like they have the fucking nerve to take your taxpayer money and then turn around and then suppress you, right? So like let me give you an example of like that shit backfiring, right? So over here we have a dumbass of a prime minister, Mark Carney, and he's like, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and recognize the state of Palestine. Okay, cool. Everybody like, you know, all the Arabs are giving you fucking, you know, belly rubs and shit, and rubbing your fucking, you know, small ass dick and stuff. But then, you know, as the time, you know, timeline, you know, stretches forward, we have, you know, these motherfuckers coming in this country thinking that it's their backyard, it's safe. And one of the things they like to do, Hamas, like ISIS members, whatever the fuck, is sell drugs, right? Like what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like it's not like, you know, the criminals here get charged anyway, right? So there was a bust, a raid, right? A search warrant for an apartment. And during this search warrant, the police officers came under fire, and one of them lost their lives. And apparently, and from this other YouTuber that I watched, the guy is part of a Hamas cell. I'm like, oh, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck is he even doing here, right? It's like here in Canada, and I hope the police get a fucking, you know, taste of like fucking reality from losing one of their own instead of like watching our citizens get fucking constantly killed by these motherfuckers. To understand that like there is a huge distinction between us and criminals like this. You know what I mean? Like what's the worst crime that you can do in your life? Like speed, not pay your parking ticket, steal like from stores and shit. What's the other one? Vandalize, like spray paint, like graffiti and shit. Like, you know, like the normal petty, you know, whatever, that kind of crime. I don't think like people are capable of shooting at cops during a fucking search warrant, like Canadians. Like I don't know, maybe I'm like naive to it, but this is just adding to like a murder against, you know, our police officers done by like, you know what I mean. And like I don't even like the you know what I mean, like I made videos about like me not liking the police officers and this and that, but like one thing I dislike even more is fucking foreign terrorist actors, people coming in and fucking with my government, my peoples and shit, because, you know, our fucking limp dick prime minister let him do it, and that the code's been cracked. We all know what it's all about now, right? So I think it's double sided, you know. On one side, you have a group of people who are so embedded and like planted into the society and culture that leaving is just an impossibility. And now, and why would they? Like they're citizens, they're like whatever, right? But they got that chip on their shoulder. They got their religious buddies being like, no, we gotta form a caliphate. We have to like win. We have to do whatever it takes to survive and shit. And then you have the other group of people who don't have the ties to the country, the native soil and shit. And unlike, you know, those highly corrupt individuals like Elon Omar and whatever, you know, non citizens who have, you know, sway and persuasion in the government, like these people are the first oftentimes to get deported, and they're just like, okay, we just can't stay here anymore, this is unsustainable. If we do stay here, there's a high risk and high chance of us getting like, you know, hurt and stuff. And it's also like, it's also telling how people are trying to use this as an information war against like the native population. It's like you have this one Pakistani guy coming out and saying like, "Yo, I'm scared that my like wife No, my sister and my mother will leave the house and they'll get assaulted. Everyone's just like laughing, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck kind of like hypocrisy is this, man? Or you're complaining about your people? Like, yo, give me a head count. How many of your people versus how many of their people, man? How many of my people? You know what I mean? How many of like everybody else's people? Your people? Fucking Muslims, dude? Fuck out of here, man. Hey, yo, you know what the worst part about it is? The Galatola. Yeah, that's his name. The Galatola made a deal with Trump, and everyone's tripping the fuck out. And Israel is just like, you know what? You won your battle, but I'm winning the war. I don't give a fuck about Lebanon. I'm just gonna blow them to fucking just destroy them, man. And like more power to them because it's like, the threat in the Middle East to the Jewish people is almost insurmountable now. Like they've garnished so much hate thanks to like the fucking, cucked out, dark Jew media, which is actually kind of fucked up, eh? When you think about it, the media like Fox News, CNN, all these things are owned by like majority like Jewish people and shit, eh? It's kind of fucked. I'm like, wait, what? So like, why are they like talking shit on Israel and stuff? And then the code has been cracked. You see, not everybody's good looking, right? Much like Henry Nowak, much like, just people who feel like they're ugly and they have to resort to aggression as their very first, like, means of solving it, even if it means they hit themselves in the face like I'm doing right now. Oh no, boom. Like, much like the reality that, sets in, we get to see, like, just how this shit plays out, right? Like, it isn't gonna be there for them anymore. Like the future, the way of their lives, the conquest. I think the conquest of Europe is probably pissing these guys off so much because now that is basically, I think it. I would argue that it ended right way before Henry Nowak. What was it again? Yeah, it was the stabbing, the Axel Rudakabana stabbing. Even though technically he wasn't a Muslim, now he was trained by ISIS or whatever. He was like, learning their shit and stuff. And then, Keir Starmer let him in. Like, that was the beginning of it. And now, like, it's just like there's no stopping it. There is no conquest of Europe by the Muslims or Sikhs. It's so funny how, like, most people, like, honestly think that they have no relation to the Muslims, and it's just like, just look at them, like, teaching their kids to stab these, like, little dolls and toys and shit. I'm not like saying that like this is something that is only an Islamic thing, is only a Sikh thing and shit, but it's like very common to see like these two kids dressing up in like their fucking religious robes with like toy knives or real knives or whatever, stabbing these other like dolls and shit to represent like politicians or whoever, people who are like around when they weren't even alive and shit are gone now, and teaching them like this hate and shit. The same like Hamas indoctrinates these kids with like a messed up version of like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, and they're like, "Yo, death to America, death to Israel." Like, what the fuck? And it's like, oh, how can you not see the fucking similarities and say, "Look, these are the fucking goddamn same fucking people, man." And they are, right? Oh, by the way, Vikram, I know. I know that you know he's sleeping, but not for long.